Good evening and welcome to another edition of Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swenson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. We have a one guest program this morning. We don't do this very often, but sometimes the guest is worthy of allocating this much time. And our guest this morning, definitely worthy of that, Dr. Liang Chiwi. Today is his final day on the job officially as Northeast Iowa Community College president after 10 years of leading the college, 15 years total at Northeast Iowa Community College, an educational career at Luther College prior to that. And he's going to be involved at Luther College following his retirement here at Northeast Iowa Community College. Last week, I had a chance to sit down and talk about all sorts of things with Dr. Wee. His story, his legacy, if you will, and just the college in general, education in general, and in a lot of ways, life in general. We'll bring you that conversation right now. This is Our Town, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Well, we couldn't let this guy leave his position without an exit interview. Dr. Liang Chiwi, in his final days as the president of Northeast Iowa Community College. He is retiring after 12 years at NICC, 10 years as president, and a career in education. Dr. Wee, does it seem real? Does it seem surreal right now that you're coming close to the end of your tenure?
Well, yeah, Darren, good morning, and good morning to you. Definitely a listener. And for me, actually, it's 15 years at NICC. Okay. Yeah, so it's been a good one. And I can tell you that thank you for allowing me this opportunity to thank you, and also to the communities. We serve 5,000 square miles, and my colleagues and I would not have been able to do our work without the support of the community. So thank you, first of all.
When you look at your tenure at Northeast Iowa Community College, I think it's fair to say that higher education has changed in that time. In what ways has it changed the most? In what ways has it just continued the service that it has provided for many, many years?
Well, definitely we respond to our community. You know, we serve 8 full counties. So if you look at our partnership, we partner with our K-12. We partner with our nonprofit and community, and we also partner with our businesses. So you are right, throughout my tenure here, every of that sector, whenever they have adjustment, we definitely, adjust with them. We are in partnership with the K-12 even more so nowadays than anything. We have career and college coaches, partner with the counselors and superintendent and principal, create pathways for our students. So that's just one example of the changes that is so positive about guiding young people in their learning and their growth. And so you are right, this change will continue to occur. And for NICC, the key thing is to make sure that we continue to pay attention, pivot, and be flexible.
And you look at the campus in your tenure, the campus has definitely improved and has a different look since you got onto campus 15 years ago. And that doesn't happen without community support. I believe 2 times in your tenure, that bond issue has been passed to keep up the funding for not only the Kilmer facility, but all of your facilities throughout Northeast Iowa. What does that mean? And does that send a message that you're doing the right thing when people are so willing to support financially what you're doing?
Over the last 15 years, our community, our awesome and great community, have invested in NICC to the tune of about $74 million. And our facility have been blessed by that investment. Excuse me. Sorry. Thank you. We have to change in our facility because of the changing needs of our, for example, our business partner. So if you look at healthcare, we have to upgrade our facility to make sure that our students have the latest technology to work. If you look at our career technical education, the use of technology, the simulation, we have to upgrade that. So I can tell you that we are very blessed throughout the 15 years to continue to upgrade our facilities so that when our graduates are out there, there is no lack of familiarity. There's no lack of familiarity with what's out there in the industry. So for us, it's not change for the sake of change, but to prepare our graduates to look at what is needed now and also the future changes coming. So thank you for saying that, because we would not be where we are now without the community support and investment.
And from a visioning standpoint, how do you stay ahead of the curve when it comes to that issue? Because you said, as you said, you got to prepare kids for what's out there in the community and what they're going to be dealing with. How do you make sure you're on the front end of that instead of reacting to what the world brings you?
So for example, before COVID, on any given year, we would partner with our business community and we would train about 22 to 23,000 people. So to do that, that means we have to be, connecting with our business facility, looking at their planning, looking at their future growth, looking at the technology coming in, looking at the economy as a whole, what is challenging them, and globally looking at what other countries are doing. So by scanning our environment, we look at what we have and say, what's the gap and how do we bridge the gap? So you're right, instead of reacting, with the support of our business partner, for example, we're looking at, how to make sure that our students are prepared for the future. So I can't say, enough thanks to our businesses for allowing us to be partnering with them, to be in their facility, and to really look at their strategic plan and say what's coming down the pipeline that we need to be ready for. So you're right. We do look at how we can continue to innovate, continue to be creative, and our faculty benefits from that, and definitely our students, as a result, when they graduate, they know what's coming, and it has been a win-win partnership.
Let's step back and talk about your personal story professionally and both personally. You came here as a immigrant to the United States, and you've spent a lot of years in higher education. Looking back to when you decided your own career path, could you have predicted it went out this way, or how did that all come into place in your mind?
No, I could not have predicted, my path. And Darren, I just want you to know that next year will be my 40th year in this country. And the good people of America have supported me throughout my career. I have so many people who provided opportunity for my growth. And fortunately, over the years, I have taken them up on their suggestion. And so where I am today is not planned, but rather people have been very good in mentoring me along the way. And it gave me the opportunity to give back, and serving in higher education, and finally as president of the Northeast Iowa Community College, it allows me to continue to pay forward what people have done for me. I never could have predicted this, but I can tell you, based on my own experience, I really believe that every person deserves an opportunity, and everybody needs to have a mentor. And so at NICC, what we do is we take that person as a whole and find out what in their lives are helping them to learn and grow, and what barriers they have that we can actually remove on their behalf so that they can move forward. One good example is recently we just, with our partners, we raised $20,000, and every dollar of that goes to buying gas cards. Why? Because the gas prices have gone up. Many of our students drive many miles to work and then to school. Our partners raised $20,000 with us so that we can support our students through gas cards, because we found out that when they're able to come to NICC, they do very well in life.
And you talk about the need for having a mentor. Would it be fair to say mentors and using that in a plural sense.
Yes, absolutely. Over the years, people have tapped me on the shoulder and say, why don't you try this? And at NICC, we believe in that too. And that's why at the beginning of every semester, many of my colleagues would actually volunteer and call our student individually and actually say, well, you have been in classes for at least 2 weeks now. How is it going? What is standing in your way? What is successful? And then we connect them with any services that they need. So everybody that comes in contact with a student, to a certain extent, they are the cheerleader. They are the mentor. So you are so right, Darren. We all need all the help we can get. At NICC, we believe that every one of us has the opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life, regardless whether it's a one-time encounter or a series of encounters. So thank you for clarifying that.
And it looks like the reasons that you credit for your own personal success are very similar to the philosophy that you try to instill as a leader of Northeast Iowa Community College. And I say very similar, they might really be the same. Is that fair to say?
It is. There are so many caring people out there. When I was growing up, people would ask me about my family. I said, jokingly, but seriously too, Darren, that I have many parents, I have many grandparents, I have many aunts and uncles. And they wonder why. And that's because in my culture, we take care of each other's kids. We take care of each other. So if I were to mess up in my younger days, before I got home, my folks already knew about it. So when people talk about a community coming together to support each other, we believe that. And that's why the word community is in our name, in our college. It takes a community to lift each other up. And during this challenging time, it is amazing how people have reached out to each other. It's not just the economy, but during COVID, how we reach out to our neighbors and help each other out. And I can tell you, our faculty and staff are awesome people. They know our students. They know them outside of the classroom, and they connect those students with services so that they can continue to grow and learn with us.
And you bring up the point of the economy. We're going through a uncertain economic times with the high inflation. You mentioned the high gas prices, and you and I have had this conversation before, basically saying that at times like these, community colleges tend to thrive and help get the world back on the path that it needs to get to. Is there a great opportunity for not only Northeast Iowa Community College, but community college in general at this present time in your mind?
Yes, it is. But at the same time, because the economy, in terms of the higher pay, we also see many of our students taking on more hours at work. At least 60% of our students are working, and they're part-time. So that means when the pay is good, guess what? They're going to put in more hours. And so we have to support them that way. Mm-hmm. That means, for example, their availability for services is going to be taken into consideration. So yes, we're helping them grow. I will give you an example. Our learning student faculty, for example, when they work with, for example, single mothers, many of them work, and guess when they could actually use the Learning Center services? That's in the evening when the little ones are asleep. So we actually have faculty Zooming in with those single mothers in the evening and in the weekend when they are available, when they could concentrate and help them with learning and any question they have with their homework. So as a college, it's not only getting them the skill to embrace a particular job and higher pay, but at the same time, what are some of the services that we have to adjust just because of their lives, processes and obligation. So as a college, we have learned a lot from our students, and we will continue to adjust so that we can meet them where they are as much as we can.
You just brought up a very interesting point, because sometimes when we look at this view of education from 10,000 feet, we always assume it's a one-way path. But you brought up the fact that we learn from our students. How important in the big picture of education is making sure that the learning process is a two-way path?
It's very important. So for example, when we were working with our Hispanic community, for example, many of them didn't really understand the processes of the K-12. Okay, so when we found out, we actually provided information to the families and say, this is how the K-12 work, because it's so important for their families to be engaged in the process. And we partner with those students when they are in the K-12 system. So when the parents are in a good place, they have the awareness. Now, all of a sudden, they can partner with us to continue to nurture and mentor their children so that when they're in high school, they can be successful. And then when they come over to NICC, we have that smoother transition. So knowing where our community, where our families are coming from, what they know, what they don't know, really impacts what we do. So as a college, we cannot be working in a silo. We have to scan our environment and say, how has our demographic changed? The other issue is transportation. Some of our students drive quite a distance. All right, if that is the case, how else can we connect with them without having them come? So one of the silver lining during the COVID years is the use of technology. So how can we work with those families without them having to travel to NICC? But then if we were to look at the technology, it begs the question, do they have internet at home? And if they don't have internet at home, Zooming is out of the question. So how can the college provide the internet infrastructure for them? So you find that one thing leads to another, and it really makes us a better college in being aware of the people we serve, the challenges, and the opportunity that we can actually work together.
Dr. Herbert Reidel will be taking over for you here in the not too distant future. How much have you worked with him in this transition phase that the college is in right now?
For the past several months, we have been transitioning. In fact, I just talked to him yesterday. So almost every week we talk. He has moved to Decorah. Okay. So we talk in person. He is very engaged. He definitely wants to know more about the college. So even officially, it says that he takes over on July 1. Guess what? He has been definitely availing himself to knowing about the college and the community. So I can tell you that the transition has already begun several months ago. I want to assure you and definitely our community, my leaving and his coming is not abrupt. We're going to try to make it as smooth as possible. He has been connecting with our faculty and staff. He has been connecting with my senior team. But there will be more work to be done. They will need to get to know him. But at least on our part, we have tried to make sure that he is better aware of our community. And I can assure you that he will be a great asset to Northeast Iowa and beyond.
And I know for you personally, prior to your time at Northeast Iowa Community College, you were a professor at Luther College, and you're going to stick, you're going to keep your hand in education. As it was announced last week, you'll be joining the Luther College Board of Regents. How did that come to be, and what about that role appealed to you?
Well, I am very honored. Several months ago, the conversation happened. They asked if I have interest to join the board. And I see this as a way of paying forward and giving back to Luther. As you know, Darren, I was there for 15 years at Luther College. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you I grew a lot there. I learned a lot there. And what I learned there really helped me with my service at Northeast Iowa Community College. So for me is how can I, in my next phase in life, support Luther College, in their growth. And at the same time, because of my connection with Northeast Iowa Community College, can I continue to be a bridge between the two institutions? How can we collaborate even more for the good of Northeast Iowa? So I am very blessed, very honored, and very humbled to be able to serve the college in that capacity.
I'm going to ask you a couple of probably unfair questions that you probably can't give one answer to, but you look at your tenure at Northeast Iowa Community College. What are you most proud of?
I am most proud of that I get into the community so much to learn about Northeast Iowa and beyond, and to get to know the good people of Northeast Iowa and the businesses and the nonprofits. And to do it with my colleagues is really a blessing. Over 85% of the people we serve live, work, play, and learn in Northeast Iowa. So we get to work with our neighbors, our brothers and sisters. I get to know Northeast Iowa in a deeper sense than I would have ever imagined. So this past 15 years has been enriching to my life and to my family. And to see so many people looking to the college for a program and services, and for us to respond in kind and in humility, it is really good. One of the things that my colleagues and I have tried very hard is not to assume that we know about the people walking through our doors. What we have to work very hard and continue to do so is listen to their story, listen to where they're coming from, and tailor our program and services to that person. And we will continue to do that. And we hope that the community will continue to give us the opportunity to serve them. And I would say that I am so humbled that I get to know Northeast Iowa Community College deeper than I've ever occurred in my life.
You look at your tenure as a NICC president and as an educator as a whole, where have you grown the most as an educator? Where did you grow the most as a leader of a community college during your tenure?
I have grown the most by learning from my colleagues. Education is a complex institution. There are so many moving pieces. My colleagues are very good about paying attention to each other. So the department does not work in silo. Everybody has a role to play, yes, but everything that each person does impacts somebody else. So for example, in our student services area, almost all of them understands the basic of financial aid. So that when the student comes in, instead of saying, you know what, my job is simply to check you in, guess what, I'm going to pass you over to Darren, who is going to help you with financial aid. Well, guess what, the person who is checking you in, who welcomes you, can also do the basic with you. That way we minimize the passing of people. That way we can truly do a one-stop shop. And the cross-training of our colleagues allow them to also see the bigger picture of how things are interconnected. That is really something that I'm very proud of, that our colleagues, even though we cover 5,000 square miles, over time, we understand the complexity, we understand how things flow, and we understand how what we do matters to everybody else. And I think that allows us to be a stronger team. It allows us to not look at a particular problem and say, well, whose fault is it? Versus we have a challenge, let's come together and provide a solution. So that integration concept has worked well for us, and I'm very pleased to see that.
Seems so simple, but I think it's something that I think we all probably have issues with from time to time, just the matter of seeing the world from a perspective other than our own. And I'm not great at it. I wish I could be better at it. I think a lot of people are in that boat, but if we all kind of pledged to do that a little bit better, the world would be a better place. You agree?
I agree. And that's why when we have new colleagues coming in, whether they're in the teaching role or non-teaching role, we go through, lack of a better word, the orientation process. And it's not a one day, it's at least a whole year. And the reason why we do that is it takes a while for people to understand the culture, the values, how we treat each other, how we treat the people who walk through our doors. And it takes a while for people to be a part of our community, be our family. And so to be patient with each other is so important. And Darren, we don't get everything right. You know, we will always continue to learn. But it's just that understanding that, hey, it's good to pay attention to something that is outside of our realm of responsibility, to ask that additional question and not assume. That is so important. And I think that has allowed us to be definitely more successful. And it really allows us to, when we talk about being welcoming to people, that's one way to be welcoming. And that is to say, tell me your story versus, you know what, I think I know where you're coming from. But inviting them to tell us our story, now they know that we care about who they are. That is so important.
Any regrets?
I regret that I'm stepping aside, but it is the right time to do it because the college is in a good place. To some extent, I wish I could stay forever, but we know we can't, you know. So it's not about regret to some extent, it's the sadness that I'm going to not be able to work with my colleagues every day because I see the good that they do. We cry together, we laugh together, we celebrate together, we lift each other up together. It's going to be the most precious thing I take away, you know, from NICC is knowing the honor of knowing a great group of people that I get to call colleagues and friends. So I wouldn't see them on a day-to-day basis, but I can assure you, I will be their number one cheerleader because I know how hard they work, the big heart that they bring to the college every day, and how much they care about the people who walk through the door. And those are the things that, you know, Darren, you cannot quantify in number. It's something that you feel deeply. And so during my last few days, that's what I think about is how blessed I am to be among a group of wonderful people. And I am so much better. You asked about my learning. I am better because I'm surrounded by awesome people.
One thing you talk about the community outreach, and you are very good about that personally. The college is very good about that. One thing that's always been remarkable in my interactions with you, and I've heard this from numerous people about you, you're the type of person that if you meet a person once, you know them for life. How are you able to do that?
I learned that from my parents.
Yeah.
My parents have always treated the people in their life with respect, with dignity, and so it rubs off. I see how they treat people, and I see how people reciprocate it. When my parents passed away, the number of people I didn't know, never met, came to the visitation. And the story they told me about their relationship with my mom and my dad really reinforced that in our lifetime, how important it is for us people to connect with people. And as a community college, that's what we do. We connect people. We connect people with people. We connect people with businesses. And so I try very hard. I'm not always very good at it because my memory is not that good. but people have been very patient with me. I make it a point that when I meet somebody, I want to know their name. And the next time I see them, I hope that I can call them by their name so that they know that I have not forgotten about them. I want to know their family because I know there's a story to tell. And through those interactions, we have actually found out how we can actually connect with somebody who might need the services of NICC. So as a college, when the community is also paying attention to what other folks need and able to connect them back to the college, all of a sudden, it's no longer just the college itself. It's the community partnering with us to lift each other up. I find that amazing. And I find that really, really cool going forward.
Due respect, Dr. Wee, if you say you have a bad memory, I don't know what a good memory is quite.
Well, thank you, Darren.
So any life plans starting on July 1st? Anything particular planned, or you're just going to kind of take this retirement thing and kind of go with the flow?
Well, I've told people that I'm not retiring. I'm simply knowing that it's a good time to step away for the next leader to come on. I know that life has other plans for me. I really believe in vocation. I believe in calling. Again, that is a gift from Luther College. During my college, my Luther College day, I grew deeper in understanding that all of us has a purpose. And for me, I am patiently waiting for what life has in store for me next. I will not be not doing something. What, I don't know yet, but once I know, I'm sure Darren, you will know too. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next adventure. I'm faithfully waiting for life to say, hey, would you like to try this? And my answer would be, yes, of course. Let's go.
And I know you can't keep a good man down, and I know you're going to find a way to make your mark on the world. Any final message you want to pass on to the community as we chat with you one final time in your formal role as NICC president?
Well, Darren, thank you for this time. First of all, I want to say thank you. You have always been so good about connecting and allow me to tell the story and allow NICC to give a message. Definitely during my final few days, I would like to, on behalf of my family, on behalf of Northeast Iowa Community College, I want to thank our community for being so supportive of us. Without the community, we would not be here. And I hope, and I know it will happen, that the community will continue to support the new president because we have so much work ahead of us. So much good to be done with good people. And I encourage the community to continue to support the mission. And our mission is very simple. Darren, you have heard me say this. There are three things we try to do every day. One, how do we lift people? Number two, how do we help drive business success? And number three, how do we enhance community vitality? And we cannot do those three things alone. And the communities have partnered with us to lift people, drive business success, and enhance community vitality. So my final plea is please continue to do that so that together we can really make Northeast Iowa Northeast Iowa even a better place for people to call home. And I really have high hopes. And my family and I, we will continue to live in Northeast Iowa. As you know, Decorah is our home. And we are very blessed to have lived in a great community, to live in Northeast Iowa.
Doctor, we can't thank you enough for all the time you've given us over the years through these conversations. As a community, we can't thank you enough for the leadership you've provided, and a thank you to the college as a whole for what they do for our community as well. Enjoy, I know you're not calling it a retirement, but enjoy life from this point on. And I know you will do that, and your family will do that. And somehow I know you're still going to be making a pretty big mark on the world. Thank you for everything, sir.
Well, thank you, Darren. And I wish you the best moving back to Iowa, and keep in touch. And thank you again for what you do. You provide a voice for the college, and we never took it for granted. And for today, my friend, thank you so much for the time.
NICC retiring president, Dr. Liang Chiwi. Very interesting conversation with great man, Dr. Liang Chiwi, who joined us and was very willing to give his time to tell his story, the story of Northeast Iowa Community College, and talk about life in general. I very much enjoyed that conversation with Dr. Wee. Of course, it's coming up on 4th of July weekend, bunch of various celebrations going on this weekend. Go out and support those, whether up in Eitzen, Minnesota, down in Spillville, or any community celebration. And in any way that you celebrate, enjoy it this weekend. But also be smart and be safe, because next week we want to be talking to you and not about you. Don't forget, each and every week we put these shows up on YouTube, so you can actually see the people that we talk to on a week in and week out basis. We realize that sometimes you can't be near a streaming device. You can't be near a radio at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning. But we also want to make this content available to you whenever it's convenient for you. And that's why we put these shows up on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, go to 6/30 Our Town program. You can find it that way. We also put all of these shows up on the Facebook pages of the LA Communications radio stations, whether that's 94.9, 99.1 The River, KVIK, Hawk Rock 100.5, or Bluff Country 103.5 KNEI. That's another way you can get this content on a week in and week out basis. Very much enjoyed the conversation with Dr. Wee. Very much appreciate each and every one of you who support the show every week. Our thanks to Dr. Wee for joining us. Our thanks to Decorah Bank and Trust for sponsoring us. And most importantly, we thank you for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.